Hi, I'm Nadine Dorries, off of the government, and this is an extract from my new tale of eroticism and drama, His Frontbench Woman. Any resemblances to men, women, dead living is purely coincidental. Chapter 3, PMQs. Glass ceiling smasher Naomi Forrest slid into the House of Commons, and as always, every male eye was on her. Women hated her and men loved her, but secretly because of the women. She poured her fabulous curves into the front bench, where she was Minister for Fashion and Classiness, and awaited the arrival of the Prime Minister like everybody else, apart from the drug heads of Labour and the nationalistics of the SNP and the four Lib Dems and the Green Lady and most of the Conservative backbench. In he strode, his shock of pale golden hair so similar to her own. Nobody knows that just last night I had a bird's eye view of that head, delicious Naomi, in her mind, not out loud. She sexily recalled how a flash of his glorious pink scalp had briefly glinted in the candle night of her luscious bedroom. Lord Fear Karma, the dreadful leader of the opposition, stood and whined his first question. Would you kick a dog, Prime Minister? The Labour Party roared with approval like a crowd. I'd like to tell the right honourable gentleman that I would never kick a dog, unlike you, Captain Dogshite, hit back the Prime Minister, leaving former QC Lord Karma totally flustered and dropping his notes like a dick. Naomi felt a quiver in her cervical region at this victory. Just then, Naomi sensed cronish disapproval behind her and turned to see former Prime Minister Tarina Dune staring daggers at her. Tarina had recently become a hero to the centrists by dragging the Prime Minister on live TV, but now she was seething. Naomi hissed at Tarina, but Tarina couldn't hiss back because she was wearing a mask. Naomi had just covered Tarina in COVID and it felt fantastic. Turning back, Naomi caught the Prime Minister's eye and he winked at her erotically. She was his frontbench woman and she couldn't wait to welcome him into her rear office later. Hi, I'm Nadine Dorries, Digital Minister for Sport and Culture and Fiction. Here is another extract from my erotic political page-turner, His Frontbench Woman, now available for 99p in the works. Chapter 6, Up the Blues. Naomi Forrest, the lioness frontbencher, sat lasciviously in the Prime Minister's office in a chair. He was behind his desk, also sitting in a different chair. The electricity between them was palpable. Well, Naomi, his voice was deep with yearning and respect. Could you handle a whole football team? Naomi's cheeks would have flushed if she got stressed, but she never did. This was just another day at the office for her, a seasoned professional who had a body made for sex and a brain made for business, and also sex. You know that won't be a problem, Prime Minister. She smiled. Then the Prime Minister smiled. They were smiling at each other. Naomi hadn't run a football club before, but it couldn't have been too difficult. After all, she was the sort of woman who kept the Prime Minister happy 24/7, while also getting a 100% majority in her constituency and writing up to 8 books a year. You've always been very goal-orientated, Minister, the PM winked. Goals were what the players scored during football games, and Naomi sure did intend to score big. Are you a player, Prime Minister? She winked after saying this, so he would know what she was getting at. Luckily, as the greatest leader ever, even better than Churchill because he hadn't been voted out yet, he knew straight away. First things first, she leaned forward to show off a rift of cleavage that made him move in his chair, and the chair creaked a bit because it was luxurious leather. Take me to Abramovich's seized football manager yacht. They flew the PM's private plane to the yacht, which was moored on the Thames. Something about private jet flights made Naomi up for it like a dirty little rabbit. No wonder Liz Truss loves being on this thing, she thought. She turned to her fluffy-haired boss. Come here, Prime Minister. I'm going to show you why I'm the MP for Mid-Bedfordshire. And they explored each other's bodies while laughing again and again. Hello, I'm Nadine Dorries, the Minister for Digital Computers and Cultural Sport. Here's another extract from His Frontbench Woman, my erotic political thriller, now available from a massive box in my conservatory. And remember, you can't spell conservatory without Tory. Chapter 9, The Algorithm Method. Fierce frontbench filly Naomi Forrest was meeting the head of Massive Hard, the main computer company of the world. Hi, girl Bates, purred Naomi, noticing his nerdish eyes practically dribbling at the sight of her parliamentary curves. I've got one question for you. When are you going to get rid of the algorithms? Gil adjusted his glasses hurriedly because they'd tilted off to the side a bit. He wasn't used to politicians looking ravishing. They normally looked like men or sometimes a non-sexy woman. Oh, he gibbered. Well, Naomi put her hands on her hips. The head of Massive Hard was all of a dither. Just then, lights began flashing red and alarms sounded like in a film when there's a crisis on a big boat. "Oh no," squealed Gil Bates. "Their computers have gone berserk." Naomi kept her cool, as per. "Don't get your langer in a twist, Bates. Show me to the main computer around here. I'm the digital minister for England, after all." Gil Bates hastily showed her to the main computer of Massive Hard. It was as big as a living room in an 80s terrace, probably, and had a keyboard and a mouse and a screen. Naomi typed on the keyboard in computer language. "Please, Naomi Forrest, you're the only one who can help." Gil Bates was rolling around on the floor like a ball. "Just as I thought," triumphed Naomi. "This whole damn thing is jam-packed with algorithms. I've been saying for years we needed to get rid of them." "You did, Naomi. You were right all along." Gil whimperingly agreed. Naomi took the main computer's mouse and clicked on all the algorithms, one after the other. "See you in hell, algorithms," she gravitased. And click! She'd blasted the last algorithm out of existence. The alarms and the flashing red lights calmed down and stopped and turned off. "Well, Naomi, you saved the day." Gil was amazed. "Could I show you my appreciation over dinner?" Naomi could see his corduroys straining at the front. "No thanks, Bates. I have to get back to my second home. The Houses of Parliament." And she left. It was actually Naomi's third home, though. Hi, I'm Nadine Dorries, your one-stop parliamentary shop for all things cultural. Here's another chapter from my erotic political thriller, His Frontbench Woman. Recent reviews include Fine for the Beach, bought this by accident for my wife, and For Christ's sakes, Nadine, I don't want to read this, please stop asking me, and that is from a Mr. Damien Green. Chapter 12. Channel 4. Naomi Forrest, the artistic secretary for the arts, strode into the headquarters of leftist woke Channel Bore. The front doors were made of hemp, and she rolled her eyes before flinging them open, the doors, with her elegant and also alluring hands. She took out her mobile and called her favourite number. "Prime Minister, ciao," she purred as she glided down the corridors of the UK's premier channel for cancel culture. "I'm in the building. These television execs are going to be wetting themselves with urine." The Prime Minister laughed with respect and arousal. Naomi arrived at the channel's main boardroom and walked in, and all the lefty men in the room looked at her. She could practically hear their pathetic langers getting slimed up. "Well, fellas," she said, slamming her two hands down on the long boardroom table that looked like that one off of Network. "Enough's enough. You've been getting away with this crap for too long." There was a collective gasp in the room. The gentlemen of Channel Bore were all weak men, so also in the room were some women in TV jobs, and they had blue hair and they were unattractive and they were jealous of Naomi. "Miss Forrest," spluttered the CEO of Channel Bore, but Naomi didn't let him get a word in. She sat in his seat and put her immaculate heeled feet on the table. Her shoes cost £300 from Selfridges. "You've had far too much public money, Channel Bore, and all you've used it for is making shows about gays and also doing news that is rude about me, the government. This ends now." But, the CEO said, now sitting on the floor eating a vegan yogurt made of fake milk. "We haven't had any public money." "You know I physically don't understand any of that damn stuff," Naomi hit back brilliantly. "And what's more, I don't need to. I'm a frontbench woman, and I'm selling Channel Bore to a proper broadcaster, whatever that is. From now on, it'll be nothing but free speech erotic programming, starting with a 30-part adaptation of one of my 16 novels." And with that, she took her legs down from the table and stood up on her shoes and kicked the vegan yogurt out of the bearded CEO's hands. Just another day saving culture for this frontbench woman. Hi, I'm Nadine Dorries, the girl boss in chief, here with another chapter from His Frontbench Woman, which is flying off shelves in bookshops everywhere, just not the one in your town, so stop tweeting me to say that. There's plenty available in my one in my town, Nadine, because I'll just block you. Chapter 14, Let Him Eat Cake. The Prime Minister, normally so strong and powerful and virile, was slumped and bulbous. His silken mop, ordinarily so lionesque, was now dishevelled like a stray dog from one of those videos on YouTube. Red-hot Minister for Stardom Naomi Forrest yearned to amorously show the PM he was still her king of England. Across the house on the Labour benches, Lord Fear Calmer, the so-called leader of the opposition, was honking his hatred of Britain. "While people died, he partied, he broke the law, and that's called a crime." This was met with roars of approval from those on those benches, especially Emery Bauberry, who once laughed at a bunch of flags destroying this nation. Naomi closed her eyes and wobbly lines appeared like in a film when there's a flashback, and then she had a flashback to the Prime Minister's birthday. The sky was blue like a Thatcher suit and a Downing Street staff were gathered, excited to pleasure their dear leader on this day of his birth. The Harks and Mensa cake with its Union Jack icing glistened. Plastic cups of mid-range Prosecco, no better than they drink on a council estate, were all around. Bitchy Cognac, the treacherous Chancellor, was there, langering on about how great America is. If it's so great, Naomi bit back, why don't you just become a citizen? Checkmate, hun, I already am, he smirked. Wow, what a fanny, Naomi thought truthfully. Then the Prime Minister walked in and everybody sang the famous song Happy Birthday. Thank you, he gratituded, winking at Naomi briefly, which made her thighs stand on end. He stayed for precisely 10 seconds before getting back to work. Flashback over, Naomi opened her eyes and whispered, "Your frontbench woman believes in you, my prince." Just loud enough for him to hear, but not loudly enough for that pure snake emoji Triz Lust to get an earful and snide about it on WhatsApp, the cow. The Prime Minister heard Naomi, smiled, grew strong and rose to, yet again, give his superb, believable reproduction apology. With his frontbench woman at his side, this People's Prime Minister was going absolutely nowhere. Hi, I'm Nadine Dorries, the girl boss in chief, here with another chapter from His Frontbench Woman, which is flying off shelves in bookshops everywhere, just not the one in your town, so stop tweeting me to say that. There's plenty available in my one in my town, Nadine, because I'll just block you. Chapter 14, Let Him Eat Cake. The Prime Minister, normally so strong and powerful and virile, was slumped and bulbous. His silken mop, ordinarily so lionesque, was now dishevelled like a stray dog from one of those videos on YouTube. Red-hot Minister for Stardom Naomi Forrest yearned to amorously show the PM he was still her King of England. Across the House on the Labour benches, Lord Fear Karma, the so-called leader of the opposition, was honking his hatred of Britain. While people died, he partied, he broke the law, and that's called a crime. This was met with roars of approval from those on those benches, especially Emery Bauberry, who once laughed at a bunch of flags destroying this nation. Naomi closed her eyes and wobbly lines appeared like in a film when there's a flashback, and then she had a flashback to the Prime Minister's birthday. The sky was blue like a Thatcher suit and the Downing Street staff were gathered, excited to pleasure their dear leader on this day of his birth. The Harks and Mensa cake with its Union Jack icing glistened. Plastic cups of mid-range Prosecco, no better than they drink on a council estate, were all around. Bitchy Cognac, the treacherous Chancellor, was there, langering on about how great America is. If it's so great, Naomi bit back, why don't you just become a citizen? Checkmate, hun, I already am, he smirked. Wow, what a fanny, Naomi thought truthfully. Then the Prime Minister walked in and everybody sang the famous song Happy Birthday. Thank you, he gratituded, winking at Naomi briefly, which made her thighs stand on end. He stayed for precisely 10 seconds before getting back to work. Flashback over, Naomi opened her eyes and whispered, "Your frontbench woman believes in you, my prince." Just loud enough for him to hear, but not loudly enough for that pure snake emoji Triz Lust to get an earful and snide about it on WhatsApp, the cow. The Prime Minister heard Naomi, smiled, grew strong and rose to, yet again, give his superb, believable reproduction apology. With his frontbench woman at his side, this People's Prime Minister was going absolutely nowhere. I'm Nadine Dorries, the sporty minister with a head for books and a mouth for reading. Here's another chapter from His Frontbench Woman, which can be downstreamed from any reputable bookseller. Chapter 15, Basic Instincts. Sir Fear Karma, leader of the opposition, looked at his notes. Can the Prime Minister explain why 56 members of his party are under investigation for sexual misconduct? Yawnsville, thought Naomi wittily. The Prime Minister just shook his head. 56 out of 365 MPs? That's like 15% of my MPs. It's nothing. If it was the Labour Party, it would be 56 MPs, and that's 28%, nearly a third. Disgusting. And we'd still be in lockdown. The People's Conservative Party showed their loudly dignified approval to the Prime Minister's excellent words. It was totally organic too, and they had in no way been briefed to be vociferously enthusiastic today. Seeing that the PM was as unflappable as ever, Minister for Good Times Naomi Forrest oozed with pride. Just then, across the chamber, Agatha Boehner, the deputy leader of the opposition, crudely waved to get the Prime Minister's attention. Agatha Boehner had 3 children, one of which she'd had at just 16. The Prime Minister had 6+ children, which is the female equivalent of about 1 child. Plus, at least he was married when he had some of them. Naomi narrowed her eyes at the northern strumpet as she showed the Prime Minister her knees and a bit more of her legs. Those tights can't be more than 40 denier, Naomi hissed to the minister next to her. He didn't answer. Looking over, she noticed he was watching a pornographic film on his phone. Boys will be boys, Naomi said and chuckled. Meanwhile, Agatha was still trying to distract the PM with those damn state-educated legs. Not on my watch, heroined Naomi. She majestically marched to the dispatch box. Mr. Speaker, she purred, the Speaker, Leslie Soyle, briefly startled by her timeless curves. This is highly irregular, said Leslie. Let it be known, Naomi began valiantly, that the left dishonourable lady over there, she pointed at Agatha, who adopted a butter wouldn't melt expression which angered Naomi because it bloody well would melt actually. She's deliberately trying to distract the Prime Minister by having a body. Naomi strode back to her seat. The sounds of disapproval from the opposition benches were like music to her ears. Agatha was suitably chastened. Thanks, Naomi. That was a close call, the Prime Minister whispered. All in a day's work, Naomi sulked. Only one frontbench woman was allowed to distract the Prime Minister from his job. Boehner wouldn't try that again without a fight. Hi, I'm Nadine Dorries, the Minister for Safe Internets and Rapping. Here's another chapter from my erotic political thriller, His Frontbench Woman, now available for Game Boy Advance. Chapter 18. Confidence Artist. The treacherous trickle of no confidence letters on headed paper, which had the address for the Houses of Parliament at the top, kept trickling in. The curvaceous minister, Naomi Forrest, sexily walked down the hall to the Prime Minister's office. Her hair, a constant platinum jubilee of its very own, was looking so nice. She walked into his office without knocking because she knew that would be fine. She put her hands on her wonderful hips and shook her head at the sight she was looking at. It was the Prime Minister behind his desk, head bowed, hair unusually all over the place. Oh, Naomi. He sounded so defeated for the first time ever, even though he'd actually lost loads of jobs in the past. I've just had another letter of no confidence. Can you believe it? No, Prime Minister, I can't believe it. What a load of bloody snakes. Naomi pounded her fist on the desk in a rage at whoever this absolute Judas was. Can you read it, Naomi? I just can't. The Prime Minister saddeningly passed Naomi the letter, and she took it from him and looked at it and started reading it out loud. Dear Prime Minister, I think you are a bad Prime Minister, and by the way, I am a mother actually, from Anthea Headstrong. Naomi was furious and angry. This is just ridiculous, she outspoke. You have apologised fully and humbly, and also you have changed the law so that what you did, in fact, didn't break the Prime Ministerial Code. What more do they want? Don't worry, Prime Minister. It's just former Prime Minister Terina June being a jealous cow, as per the usual. She can't stand that you've absolutely smashed your premiership, so she's shit-stirring to make everyone have no confidence. I'm going to go on the World at One and stop this in its tracks. These politicians are all just playing politics. The Prime Minister wiped a tear away from his eye with a tissue he was holding in his hand. Thank you, Naomi. I'm so glad you are under me. Me too, Prime Minister. And they both shared a small laugh at the hilarious double entendre Naomi had noticed, because she was under him as a minister, but also that sounded like sex. Hi, I'm Nadine Dorries, prolific novelist and future lord. As it is this festive season, I want to bring you this, a new Christmas chapter from my erotic political thriller, His Frontbench Woman. Chapter 26, Deck the Halls, brackets, of Westminster. Well, Prime Minister, purred parliamentary fox Naomi Forrest, what a year it has been. Naomi, we did it. The Prime Minister poured champagne that costs £80 per bottle, and you can't get it in Tesco, just down the wine shop. First this year, you were Prime Minister, Naomi breathed. Then there was that lady nobody can remember the name of. And then there were 2 months when backstabber-in-chief Dishy Boobank falsed his way in. And now, finally, you are back where you belong, Prime Minister. And how we did it is not important, the Prime Minister said, gratefully passing Naomi a Sainsbury's Taste the Difference Florentine, which he had taken out of the packet and served upon a plate. Just then there was an immature rap on the door of the room Naomi and the Prime Minister were perfectly happy in. Enter, said the Prime Minister. They shared a saucy giggle at the double entendre of the word enter. In walked Cassie Ribbons, the Prime Minister's ever-so-silly wife. Naomi didn't even care about her, to be perfectly honest. Room for a little one, she whined. God, desperate much. Without waiting for permission, Cassie just bloody walked in. She didn't even notice Naomi's contempt because she was so wrapped up in herself. Darling, she said to the Prime Minister, which was actually really patronising. He was Prime Minister for God's sake, and for the second time, just like Churchill, the first Prime Minister ever. Can I open one of my prezzies a day early? It was Christmas Eve, by the way. Cassie, no presents until Christmas Day, the Prime Minister compromised. Yeah, respect Christ, Naomi said perfectly reasonably. At this, Cassie Ribbons ran from the room in tears, like a mixture of Bambi on the ice and Bambi just after his mother was shot dead. Good, thought Naomi. She'll be gone for at least 45 minutes, crying, as per the usual. The Prime Minister smiled and raised a glass of that champagne from earlier up in his hand. Naomi picked up her glass of the same champagne and touched it to the Prime Minister's glass of champagne, and it made a clink sound. Yet again, she had been his frontbench woman, faithful and true, and in 2023 she would be a lord and everything. "Wow," she said, "everything's coming up Naomi." "Not quite everything," erotic the Prime Minister. And while Cassie sobbed downstairs in the Downing Street pantry, the Prime Minister pulled a cracker of his very own. It was Naomi. Okay, I'm going to now read live this special chapter from His Frontbench Woman. I've got it on my phone because it's just a note so far, but it's being published on Monday and you can buy it in the works for 99p. Chapter 36 of His Frontbench Woman, Coronation. Coronation. It's just coronet. Chapter 36, Coronation. The sun was shining so brightly and there wasn't a cloud in the sky, and also there was no rain on this perfect day of days. Odd King Prince Charles as he woke up in his royal bedroom, which was decorated to a high standard with gold and marble and really nice wallpaper from John Lewis that was up to £40 a roll, and you needed loads of it for King Prince Charles's bedroom because it was massive. It was the main bedroom in Buckingham Palace. Next to him was Camilla, the Queen. Queen consort? I don't know. I actually don't know what she is, but anyway, the actual Queen said it was fine or something for her to be Queen just before she died. Queen Elizabeth was actually the very first Queen ever. What a glass ceiling smasher for women. Camilla woke up then too. "Morning, babe," she said and winked. He loved it. Part of what attracted him to her in the first place had been how she was always up for it. "Are you excited?" she purred, like cats do, but with words. "Cam," he said. He shortened her name because he knew her so well. "Not now. I have a coronation today to do. My one." "Ha ha 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 ha," she cackled. "I meant excited about the coronation." Now it was King Prince Charles's turn to cackle. They were both just cackling because it was so funny that he thought she meant something else. Sex, or at least hand stuff, because it was quite early. "Oh my good golly gosh," surprised the King Prince Charles. "What is it, hun?" asked Camilla. "Did I remember to invite the Prime Minister?" "Of course you did." Camilla just rolled her eyes because he was always doing this, forgetting things. "I hate him anyway." "No, not the new fake Prime Minister," King Prince Charles corrected her, rightly. "The People's Prime Minister, the PM of Hearts." Camilla took her turn to gasp then. "Oh no, you'd better do it now. I love him." "You love him?" King Prince Charles looked wounded, like one of those lions or stags he loved shooting over the years. "Ha ha ha, not like that," Camilla reassured him, dishonestly. King Prince Charles got out his bejeweled solid gold iPhone that had originally belonged to Africa and started texting. And then it's got like a line break. ... Buzz went the People's Prime Minister's phone. Just a regular phone, because he was just a normal guy. He looked at the screen and read the words on it that were a text, which is why his phone had buzzed just then, because it was on silent but with vibrate on. "Hi, mate," it read. "It's me, King Prince Charles. Hope you're good. Today it's my coronation, and I just want you to be there so much because you're amazing. We all really like you and what you do. Could you come to the ceremony? It won't be the same without you. P.S. Bring a +1. Bye." The People's Prime Minister smiled, smoothed his lovely whitish yellowy hair to a respectful style for the special day, and started sending a text of his own. Meanwhile, over in Westminster, Naomi Forrest, the former and much-loved public darling of digital media, culture, sport and... No, those are all of them. Digital media, culture and sport. Did we ever find out what media was? I never found out. But culture's the main one. The much-loved public darling of digital media, culture and sport was taking a luxurious bath with rose petals and oils and a lush bath bomb, but not one of those glitter ones where you can't get the glitter off for days, and it seemed like a nice idea at the time, but it makes a right bloody mess. Just a normal one that smelled nice. Her phone buzzed next to her on the edge of the bath. She looked at the text on the screen that had been sent to her and squirmed with delight at who it was from. It was from the true Prime Minister himself, her king. No, wait, he didn't... Right, she didn't call the true PM her king. Edit that out. She properly does like and faithfully serve, without question, King Prince Charles. The fictitious Naomi Forrest does. Anyway, whoever she is. Any resemblances to anybody living and or dead is purely coincidental. But she didn't call him king. She didn't think of him as her king because King Prince Charles is king. But it was from the true Prime Minister. Okay. The text read, Naomi, I've been invited to Big Coro. What a turn up for the books. Bet you can't believe it, seeing as I essentially disappeared after I was being investigated by the committee because they're all jealous little snakes who can't stand how popular I am, lol. That's what he texted. Anyway, I'm flying back from the 5-star holiday destination I am at to be there for the ceremony, and there's only one legend I want by my side. Naomi squealed with pleasure like a hot little pig and simply sent back one word. See you there, kiss. She was going to be the belle of this ball and no mistake. So there you go, an exclusive from my book, His Frontbench Woman, now available in the works for 99p. Hello. Thought you'd seen the last of me? Political hotshot and parliamentary favourite, Nadine Dorries, the People's Culture Secretary. Turns out you were wrong, babes and huns. I'm back. Ooh, Nadine hasn't been in Parliament for a year and hasn't been heard from by her constituents once since she resigned, then unresigned a month ago. Well, egg up your face. I was busy, wasn't I? Busy writing what would be the most bombshell book of all time, The Plot, a political whodunit about all the snake emojis in Downing Street who couldn't stand to see such an ordinary man succeed as the greatest Prime Minister ever, even better than Churchill, because he got voted out literally weeks after the end of World War II, and Boris Johnson, the true Prime Minister, has never been voted out. All he's been is fired. Fired from every job he's ever had, and I will not stand for this, and that's why from September 28th you can buy The Plot, available in every road chef on the M1 for $10.99. Looking forward to conference, Rishi? I know I am. In fact, get this. I'm actually one sarcastic comment about you away from being girl bossed by the current Labour Party. Imagine if I crossed the floor and joined them. That would be so random, wouldn't it? The Plot. A story of treachery and deceit at the heart of the Westminster machine, fueled by an obsessive pursuit of power which tears at the very fabric of our democracy. That's genuine copy from my press release. You can look it up. I wrote that and released it with a straight fucking face.